Always good to do that. Welcome, everyone. It's Clobberin times number. Well, 58 for YouTube, 758 overall for the show. And I hope everyone had a Merry Christmas, which would mean you didn't watch the movie we're going to talk about tonight. But yeah, welcome, everyone. I'm so glad to see you all here. The great Mark C. is here with us. What's his face? Whatnot. Thank you for being here. Doug Ober, my good friend. Thank you for popping in, buddy. And of course, I want to thank the great 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser, my buddy, hanging out with me for this torture session that you're about to be all punished with tonight.
What's up, buddy? Cathartic. What's up, man? This is gonna be a cathartic experience for the both of us. It's kind of like we're going to each other to like relieve our stresses on this. So I think this will be mentally healthy for the both of us. So it's a pleasure to be doing this catharsis together.
And now, everyone, a review of Wonder Woman 84. It sucked. Good night, everyone. No, we might go a little bit deeper than that. But we might just kind of stretch it out a little bit more than that. But pretty much everyone has talked about it. Now, again, this film, everyone, not everybody hates it. I just want to put it out there. And I don't even think it's the worst superhero film I've seen. But that's like saying it's not the worst. Well, I'm not going to go there. There's so many horrible superhero films in the world that have been made. It would be, I don't even know if I put a top 10er together, it would be in there. But nevertheless, we will judge it on its own merits, and it has very, very little. Let's just be honest. It is, this film is actually commits a number of the worst sins that superhero films or the worst superhero films commit, in my opinion. The biggest sin it commits is not even a superhero film sin. It's just a film sin, and it is being fucking boring. That is probably the biggest takeaway of this film. That's the one sin that no film that is supposed to be, genre related or action or oriented or what have you, is the worst thing that can happen to you if you're of that kind of film. If you're boring and bloated. And yes, by the way, Jess Joe 47. Hello, my friend. Good to see you, Jobber. And it's a good point. I'm glad you're here because I probably would have forgot to say this. It's good to say this, just for politeness. Yes, it's good to say this. Viewers, this movie actually comes pre-spoiled by the director, but we will be spoilering the hell out of it. We won't be hiding anything. So if you do want to watch this thing for some reason and not know what happened in it, well, I'll put it to you like this. We're going to be talking about specifics. The good news is we're not going to do like a lot of reviewers will give you every single play, like a blow-by-blow going from start to finish, everything that happens in the film. For that to be possible, Nick would have to, maybe Nick has a far better memory than me. A lot of this movie, man, I'll tell you, like a lot of people, woof, it flies out of your head after a lot of you watch it. So details I'm not going to be too big on. We're just going to, I'll be a little vague now. Of course, Nick will be able to comment on anything he wants to come on as well. The wonderful Nicole Stoufflet is here. Hello, my dear, lovely friend who made it possible for me to watch this movie, but I love her anyway.
That's a true friend. That's a true friend.
Yes, indeed. Sorry, my phone was ringing there. Let me, I never forgot something. Come on, man. What the hell? But anyway, all right. I got that out of the way. Nick, I'll tell you what. I can't say I was super disappointed because I was not really expecting a whole lot. Mm-hmm. However, from trailers, I expected it to be a lot more, if nothing else, flawed maybe, but at least a little fun. Mm-hmm. I expected some fun out of the film at least because the trailers, the action sequences in the trailers made it look like it was going to do that. But I have to say that it really doesn't even deliver in really any respect, including that one. The movie, because it is boring, the action sequences are pretty much, again, some pretty bad CGI, different things like that. Give me your basic initial take on it, and we'll start talking about some of the particulars.
Okay, so my initial take was going into this, I was kind of aware that there was like a test screening that was, and the reviews from the test screeners was surprisingly not positive. And like I really dug the first Wonder Woman movie. I didn't think it was like the grand be all end all, but I thought it was a solid movie that made the character believable on screen. So I was curious to hear about a second movie way back in 2017, and then I remember it moved to it originally was supposed to come out in December 2019. And then all of a sudden, Patty Jenkins announced, we're just going to do it to June 2020, which it made sense because they want to have the 3-year exact wait period from June 2017 when the first Wonder Woman came out. So timeline-wise, it did make sense. And then we all know the world situation that happened. And then they moved it to October, and then Christmas Day, and then Christmas Day became whatever 2,000 theaters are open plus HBO Max. And I had heard about the test screenings, and I thought, oh boy, that's not a good sign. I mean, granted, there are times where I strongly disagree with critics, but just something about it I kind of believed them this time. The reason why I believed them this time, I was worried about Cheetah being one of them. I was just like, I don't see a character like that looking good on a screen. And I even did for my review. I said, like, I can get she's a very tough character to make look cool, like on the big screen. Maybe there's someone out there who can do it better. I don't know. I've not seen a good cosplay, to be fair, of the character.
I've seen a few decent ones.
Oh, have you?
Way better than that, yeah.
Like, I've seen cool cosplays of, like, Starfire and Zatanna, but, like, I've not seen a Cheetah. But maybe I just gotta see him out there. But some told me, like, right when I heard about the test screens, I'm like, oh, I'll bet to some degree it has something to do with Cheetah. And surely enough, here we are, December 2020, near the end of the year. That was definitely one of my complaints. But that's just one of several complaints. So I hated that the critics were right on this one.
Well, yeah. I mean, they eventually had to, some of them had to stop shilling, and some of them actually had to tell a little bit of the truth there. Mark with a C, thank you for popping in, my friend. It's great to see you. Thank everyone for being here. This film starts out with a really, really long scene on. Oh, I'm sorry. I know I'm supposed to say Themyscira. Look, I'm old. I remember when it was Paradise Island, but let's fine. It's Themyscira. And even that opening scene with young Diana in the competition thing just meanders. It goes on too long, and it starts us out with our little message for the film. In other words, look, this film was written by Jeff Johns and Patty Jenkins. Patty Jenkins, of course, being the director. Jeff Johns was once a very good to sometimes excellent comic book writer. Once, I say.
Oh, at one time, the best.
And even though he did get his start working for Richard Donner, by the way.
Yeah,
The great Richard
yeah.
Donner in film before he went to comics.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like he does not know how to write film. It just seems that every film he gets involved with, I don't know. I kind of question that his screenwriting skills and stuff like that. But he's written some great comics before. There's no question about it. In spite of some of the things that I don't like about him with the Screw 52 and stuff like that, I'm fairly well disposed to Jeff Johns, which is all the more puzzling. I would expect this to be a tighter film, certainly more enjoyable film. Although a lot of people have criticized, and we all know all the criticisms about him with the with some of the things that went on with the DCEU later after, with the with Justice League and crap like that. So yeah. But anyway, just Jeff Johns. In other words, we have a writer there. Unlike most screenwriters of comic book properties, a writer there that has comic book chops.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's not a dispute. It just doesn't really show up a lot in this film, which is kind of curious.
It almost makes me wonder if he was just like a writer by name. I truly feel like he was a writer by name.
But he's on both writing sets of credits, the story and the screenplay, with a couple of other people. Again, I know that doesn't mean a lot all the time, so who knows how much of it is him? But I think enough of it is him to definitely give him some blame. I mean, he was involved in writing that horrible Green Lantern movie. And,
definitely. Yeah. No, he was very involved in that. So I'll definitely hold him accountable there.
Well, yeah. And again, we're talking about a guy who's written some of the best Green Lantern comics ever, and he's
so good.
He helped write that garbage Green Lantern film, which, by the way, again, to be fair to Wonder Woman 84, Green Lantern is worse. In my opinion, there are a lot still worse superhero films, but this one, if I compile that 10 list again like I have before, it might get there. It might get on it. And again, a lot of this is because of the sin of being boring, the cinematic sin of being boring. This film starts out, every single scene is bloated and overlong. And one of the key complaints that ever you'll see anyone make, and by the way, there's some great, very detailed video reviews that you can find on YouTube that go through if you want someone to take you through the whole film scene by scene. I know you've done a review, I believe. I'm not sure. Have you done one? So
I did a few hours. I recorded last night and then put it out today. I basically I didn't go scene by scene by scene, but I said what the story was, and I said what I liked, what I didn't like, and I also kind of highlighted the history of some of the issues that were leading to this film, like how I mentioned with the test screening, the constant delays with the theaters. Oh yeah, just Joe, we're both in Illinois, that's funny. So I highlighted some history. I felt like I told the information I felt was, I guess, most essential. If you wanted to have a spoiler video while going into too much detail, but just get the basic gist, I felt like that was right for my video. So I did like a 20-minute video on it. That was my take. It felt like it was necessary. Like, for all the heap about the movie I disliked, I actually felt better after talking about how much I didn't enjoy it after doing the video. The video is a stress reliever, believe it or not.
That always helps, man. And Watch This Space Whatnot says, my decision to avoid giving any sort of support financially for future DC movies because of what they're doing with Black Adam. Oh, man, isn't that the truth? It's looking like far easier choice than I had initially thought. Yes, what they're doing with Black Adam is pathetic, and I won't be watching that crap. And no, Watch This Space, that's the way to do it. You're right on point with that. This film, as many have said, and by the way, I recommend, Gary Nerdrotic did a great breakdown. Critical Drinker did a really great video. If you want to see the things in more detail, we're just going to basically talk about our basic reactions to the film itself. After the initial scene with young Diana on Paradise Island, Themyscira, we get a scene in a mall in 1984. Nay, Eric K, the great Eric K. Hey, buddy, the master of wrenches. Thanks for being here, man. We get your standard opening scene with your superhero. By the way, this film is not called Wonder Woman 84 or 1984. It's in the title credits. It's WW84. Major geek fanboy pet peeve of comic book movies for me is superhero films that never acknowledge the name or identity of the superhero, like when they're running around in the shadows and they're not a public figure as a superhero. They're hiding. I hate that bullshit. I don't care what they established in BVS. I hate that movie anyway. But she's not Wonder Woman. She is not once called Wonder Woman in this film. Not once. And I love Gal Gadot. She is not called Wonder Woman, but she sure looks wonderful in that outfit. We get a nice big fight scene, which is really just kind of boring. This opening scene in the mall is called the IMAX scene because people keep calling it
IMAX scene.
People keep calling that the IMAX scene.
What?
Yeah, I mean, that's really supposed to be. Yeah, it didn't even look that good. And from there we get at this point for some god unknown reason, these crooks that robbed this, was it like a little jewelry store, right? It's where they end up getting the film's MacGuffin. The what do we call that thing again? That the wish stone thingy. What was that?
The stone, that Latin stone, that they got, which was like their wish unlock, basically turned Maxwell Lord into an evil genie equivalent.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
So
the thing Maxwell Lord needed possession of that he got from what's Barbara Minerva. Yeah.
Right. Well, anyway, that's how we find out about this thing. And after this initial action sequence with Wonder Woman fighting the thieves in the mall, the robbers in the mall, which is, again, just a kind of a dull throwaway scene. It's not particularly exciting. You get to see, I think the thing that amused me the most was seeing a Walden books in there. I'm like, oh, man, that's a nice little memory bear. I remember going to Walden's at the mall all the time. Mm-hmm. You can really tell that mall they didn't really go all out to make it look 80s-ish that much, though.
Nope, it didn't.
It's pretty sloppy stuff. And everything looks, every bit of their attempts to be period piece in this film is sloppy and doesn't really work all that well. So we don't get a particularly satisfying Wonder Woman scene to start out with. And then after that, if you're there to see Wonder Woman, folks, you can take a break. You can go out and mow the lawn. You can go, hey, take a nap, which you might anyway. You can do a number of things because you will not see Wonder Woman for about an hour and 20 minutes.
Yep.
And, you see Diana and, there we go. The certain stone. The citron stone thingy. I can't pronounce it. Certain stone. I can't. Well, somebody pronounce it.
Okay, we'll call it the stone.
The stone thingy.
The stone.
So, after what's that? Oh, it was with Mark. He said, let's see. Let's put it up there so I can see. Yeah. There you go. Thank you, Nicole. There you go. I can't pronounce that. Just kidding. It's way too long to catch those Home Alone villains in the mall. I like that one, Mark, with a C. Yep. That's right. Yeah, there was some. Again, they were not really dangerous bad guys. Although one of them went to endanger a little girl, and even his cohorts were like, "That's not nice." Okay, whatever. So after that scene, 40 hours later, we'll get to see Wonder Woman again. The rest of the time is this big plot filler that's going to introduce us to our wonderful myriad of characters, including Barbara Minerva, who basically she is Barbara Minerva from the comics in some sense, but there have been many, 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 many variations of the Cheetah character over the decades that she's been around as a Wonder Woman villain. And not much of this. I mean, different strands here and there are from the comics, of course, but not a lot of it, really. We're introduced to Maxwell Lord, who is really nothing like another one, just like Cheetah, is nothing like the Maxwell Lord of the comic books. When he first appeared in 1988 with the Justice League International, the JLI relaunch series, and he was kind of a behind-the-scenes, rich manipulator and the stuff like that. And of course, throughout the course of DC history, he changed a little bit here and there. He ended up getting some mind control superpowers, many different things. But one of the reasons I suppose he's connected to Wonder Woman is eventually she breaks his neck in the comics, as I'm sure you're well aware.
Yep, I am.
That's not the here or there for this film. Just saying that Maxwell Lord has been around the DC universe for a while.
A long time.
They're really, yeah, but they're really just not basing him all that much on his comic book version. I mean, not a lot.
not the most we got, as I mentioned on my review earlier, was they basically gave him his because when he was like setting off wishes like it was nobody's business, he was starting to get those bloody nose that he gets a lot in the comics. That was about it, because how who'd get bloody noses, unless you're not familiar with that
Oh yeah,
element.
I know it was later. Yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah,
was a later
yeah.
comic element, but yeah, they had that. But other than that, we obviously know who they were trying to impersonate. You had the bushy blonde hair, you had the TV show charismatic personality, and then you had that wall that came up in that it was like an Indian
In
country.
Egypt or wherever, somewhere
Egypt,
over there, I
yeah.
believe.
It
Yes,
was
yes.
clear what they cared about more as far as Maxwell Lord being who they had being the villain, which, if anything, it made it more frustrating, not to jump too far ahead unintentionally. It made that ending with his character, for me, that much more upsetting. I mean, we can get to that ending later if you want, but
Yeah, yeah. We will.
oh, I just I get the idea at times of a sympathetic villain, but I don't like the idea that this guy was literally just trying to make the world go insane and kill each other, and now we're all of a sudden I'm like, are we supposed to sympathize with this guy at the end? Like,
Yeah,
oh,
this film is filled with mixed messaging and contradictory imagery, and the script is. This is one of those horribly written films I've ever seen in my life because it has no basic, even internal logic. And when I say logic, I'm not asking. I know this. I have no problem with fantasy films,
oh yeah, of
but
course,
they still work on their own internal logic. Sometimes this one has none. No, that it
none.
doesn't. It sets no rules for itself whatsoever. Nothing makes any sense in this movie. Nothing. They just say it happens. Boom, and this is happening. Take it. Take our word for it. We're not going to. And again, not everything in every single film all the time, 100% of the time, has to be explained,
Oh, of course.
but you have to explain enough. You have to set up enough. Now, early on in this film, of course, we find out that they just tell us that Max is looking for this stone thing. We find we what we learn about Barbara Minerva is basically she's this Kristen Wiggy character. She's basically Kristen Wiig. Kristen Wiig is said they just brought her in there, said be yourself, and she always plays the same character. She, nothing against Kristen. Was it Kristen Wiig necessarily or anything, but she's just kind of just the same character she always plays, if you know what I mean. And she's the nerdy girl, like or whatever, and she meets the wonderful and beautiful and gracious and classy Diana and wants to be like her. We've never seen that in any films ever.
Mm-hmm.
And both she and Diana inadvertently make their wishes. He, of course, Max knows what this object is and does. They don't, which is kind of weird in and of itself. That they you need to set up some sort of logic. And like I say, if someone's going to wish for something in a film, they should know what they're wishing. Other than people walk around. We all walk around wishing for things all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you happen to be near this object and you don't know what it is, it just makes a wish. It reads your mind or hears you, or some shit, and just starts granting your wishes and shit.
That was sorry.
Go ahead. No, go
that
ahead.
was something that bugged me, because if you think about it, like when Maxwell Lord was having,
he knew what it was.
Grant, he knew, and he was great giving. He asked he kind of did his whole pop the question equivalent. Asking a question, what do you wish for? Technically, and we all know Barbara Minerva, we knew exactly what she wished for. But I don't recall. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't recall a scene where Diana directly spoke to the stone and asked for that wish. She just kind of wished it like under her breath type of thing, nowhere near the stone. So
the stone just knows that she wants it.
We know she wanted that, because that was obvious, right. And I get that part of it, but she never officially wished that with the stone being present nowhere near her, and then somehow it just conveniently happened because plot. I don't know.
Well, remember, Barbara didn't really know what the thing was either. Only Max knew what it was.
Yeah, only Max knew. Yeah.
And there's a scene early on when we start finding out that Max is some kind of he's some kind of con man, confidence trickster type, whatever. And he's got this. He's a failed oil man, and all this other kind of crap.
Scamming for oil. Yeah.
Right. We meet his son, who I guess we're just supposed to take it as read since he's his son is of Asian descent. So we're just, and they don't explain that. We never see what the mother looks like. I guess you just have to make your assumption there, which is fine. I'm just saying, it's like you see that, okay, I guess, sure. I mean, did he adopt him? We don't know because they don't tell you.
No, they don't. And it's kind of, once again, it's very odd because, like, there are times where his son is in that big building and that kid looked pretty young. And this could be the dad and me speaking. Maybe it's not you. It's up for the chat to decide, but it did not make sense for that little kid to be in that building by himself.
Nicole makes the point that I was basically saying earlier. She held the stone while thinking of her wish.
So now the stone,
but it's still not on purpose. She's just thinking, and it reads her mind.
So now we know that the stone conveniently read her mind.
Right. So there's the thing. Fine, but you need to be more explicit because Max knew what the thing was.
Yeah, Max at least knew. I'll give them credit for that. Like Max's character understood exactly the purpose of the stone.
Right, but see, and as Nicole points out, and that's true, the film tells you that there's some kind of wish thing going on, but again, Diana doesn't know that. She doesn't know that she's wishing something. And neither does Barbara that when she starts getting her abilities, right? I mean, only Max knows what it is. So again, it's just no logic to the writing.
Nope, no
whatsoever.
They were basically just doing whatever made it convenient to the plot. They didn't think about if it was consistent or inconsistent, as long as it furthered their story. But it didn't matter how they got from point A to point B. They just needed to get to point B.
And there's the problem. Because would Diana, she might, if she knew that, she knows when she finds out, when she realizes what that stone is, she knows it's not good. But by that time she finds out that she's already getting what she wants at her, and that therefore is the conflict to her. She'd have to lose Steve, but she knows it's not right. That's her conflict in the film, and that's fine. However, would she have chosen that from the outset? Would she have said, I know this is wrong, but what the hell, bring him back? I don't know. So they just had the thing. Steve Mitchum, thanks for being here, sir. Yes, right. It says you must lay hands on the stone. But it doesn't say that it's going to read your mind, does it?
Yeah, I guess the stone must read your hands. I mean, it's a good thing we had Nicole here for some clarification. I appreciate that. That's good to know. I'm guessing she may have done 2 viewings if she made it that far, or she just has awesome memory. Regardless,
she has a good memory.
I'm impressed.
You may have watched it 3 times now. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
You watched it 3 times, Nicole? But I'm just curious.
Yeah, right.
Steve Mitchum, thanks, buddy. Again, good to see you. Thank you for being here, buddy. But anyway, that's again, you can call them nitpicks. In an entertaining film, you can forgive stuff like that if the film's entertaining. You can go, whatever.
Oh yeah,
I'm always about that. Look, plenty of times leaps in logic. I'm fine with if you were entertaining me. I'll go, and you could name something like we're just talking about, and I go, oh dear, yeah, but you know what? It was still fun. That's the problem. This film isn't fun.
It's not. There was so much excess going on. Like, a lot of these scenes just kept going on and on and on. It's just like, man, I could have thrown a party. People could have passed out on the floor, under the bed, in the bathtub, and then I could have call the party off, and then go back to movie, and the movie could have still been going with how long those scenes are going. Like I said, I could have had a whole overnight party with how long those scenes felt. And that's another thing. I felt like the opening scene they had the right idea in mind, because you see Diana do what she does as a child. She tries to cheat, and they caught her. And she tries to learn a lesson, which I thought there's a good idea there, and they're onto something from the beginning. And I'm like, okay, cool. They're not Mary suing her. Awesome. She's here to learn. She's here to learn a tough lesson. Cool. We may be onto something. But then the rest of the movie happens. And it's the ultimate bait and switch. And oh man, because she kept cheating. I mean, though, especially with the Steve Trevor thing.
We're gonna get to that in a sec. But
yeah,
Just Joe, 47, did Wonder Woman find out she was from the planet Zeist, and bring back Steve Trevor with the power of the quickening that she entered that's of course everyone knows is a reference to one of the worst films ever made, Highlander 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Oh my
god. Did you notice, by the way, at Max's office, whom he was talking to, Simon Stag? They stuck Simon Stag in there.
Yeah, I didn't realize it until I saw when it showed the front desk and it said Stag Industries. I'm like, hold on, was that Simon Stag?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, because I don't recall them dropping his name by saying Simon Stag, because that character was on the season 1 of The Flash on
They
CW.
killed him on there, though. Yeah,
and
they
then
killed him on there.
Yeah, and I was just like, well,
Yeah.
okay, so now we got another character who has 2 simultaneous versions per usual of the course. But regardless, I was like, okay, cool. So there was some source material paid attention to some.
Well,
but
he's a pretty wimpy Simon Stag, though, in the comics. He's a nasty old bastard.
Oh, yeah, no. And believe it or not, I mean, I'm not sure if you ever watched the CW show. I like the early season of The Flash.
I know he was on there. They killed him.
Simon Stag on that show was awesome. This guy was just like...
Yeah, but anyway, that was just a little DC Easter egg thing. You have him on there. But that's not like we got to see Rex Mason or anything. Yeah. But, so anyway, we go on. At this point, the movie pretty much becomes all about Maxwell Lord. And it's, again, we won't go too deep into the politics of it. The Orange Man stuff is overblown. It's very, very, it's subtle. There's some things here and there in it. But for the most part, it's played up more because Patty Jenkins herself and others involved with the films themselves made mention of it. Okay, a long time ago in interviews and things like that. A lot of them were kept mentioning Orange Man, so conditioning people to think, oh God, because you can look at him and he's kind of sort of physically based on the way Orange Man looked in the 80s,
Oh yeah, TV personality, charismatic, right. Bushy blonde hair. Oh yeah, there's stuff there, but it wasn't blown out like you expect on like a CNN column.
No, it wasn't. But again, it was far more subtle than I think any of us suspected it would be, or expected it would be, because again, they put the expectation out there.
Oh, they totally did. I was ready for it too. I was ready for it.
Like Nicole said, this Simon Stag fell for a Ponzi scheme. Yeah, he's a wimpy Simon Stag, man. He's dude, but he didn't create Metamorpho, I guess. Too bad. But yeah, that would have been cool. Right. But you know what? Again, at this point, we're in for a long haul before we see anything fun in the film. But I will say this: one of the best things in the film. Now, first of all, we're going to get into the Steve Trevor stuff, because the Barbara Minerva stuff, we've seen all that stuff in so many films. The quote unquote, I'm not saying the woman's ugly, I'm saying ugly duckling type, if you will, or like the awkward nerdy girl who gets some strange wish fulfillment, and she wants to be more like Diana, and all that silly comedy stuff is not funny. It's cliched. All the stuff with Barbara starting to realize herself and all this crap is dumb and overblown. It's been done a million times before. We see her out in the street early on. Rod Thunderheart, thanks for being here, my friend. Wow, we see her out in the street. Yeah, we like that name, man. We like Rod. Thank you, Rod, for being here. We see early on that Barbara is, at first, when we see her out in the streets being nice to a homeless gentleman and things like that, and she's kind of just a nice, pleasant person, but that doesn't get noticed that much by men or anything. Bunch of rotten, horrible men. And again, big theme in this film: men suck. Except for one of them, men are crap.
Except for Steve Trevor.
God. He's okay, but and the one homeless dude. He was a nice guy. He was a nice guy, but anyway, she gets not an attempted molestation, basically, by some jackass out in the street, and Diana comes along and kicks his ass easily, kicks him down the street. But we'll see him again later. And again, all the dudes in the office are a bunch of jackasses too. Everybody's a jackass here. Maxwell Lord's a slimy shithead. All men are just crap, But that's a trope with Patty Jenkins anyway. We knew they were going to be doing that. It's just kind of what are you going to do? That's just going to go part and parcel with a lot of modern Hollywood. So Max, we get to see more of Max's story. Ugh. And it's just Barbara's boring, Max is boring. I'm sorry, a lot of people think that Pedro gave some kind of great performance in this film. I don't think so. I mean, the performance is fine, don't get me wrong, he's a good actor. But it's just over the top. It's silly, and he's more pathetic and, yes, in some way sympathetic rather than scary or menacing. And he's supposed to be the main villain of the piece, with the secondary villain being Cheetah. And neither of them are particularly threatening, and there's a big problem in a superhero film. Again, there's one of your cardinal sins of superhero films committed in this one, and there are many crappy villains. And this whole film, whole big chunk of the film at this point is going to be about your villain, quote unquote, your main baddie, Maxwell Lord, in the film. And that's not really what we're signed up for. You do have to work on your villain. You do have to set your villain up. You do have to write them well. But when you make the whole film centric to them, it gets boring.
Yeah. I mean, at times, I'm not going to we've been very honest with each other on this thing, but at times I felt like this movie was equally, in some cases, more about Maxwell Lord's story than Diana's story. Like, there are times where, because especially with that whole bizarrely sympathetic angle, I'm like, hold on, are they trying to make him the protagonist? But yet, after they were already talking about, or not talking, but showing how men are evil. And yet, here we are. We once again, the mixed messages you brought earlier. I'm like, is this guy the protagonist or is Diana? Because if you think about it, Diana was just a lot more chill in this movie, whereas Maxwell Lord was very proactive the entire flick. And that's usually what the main protagonist is supposed to be, going. But it felt like Diana was just there to hang out and exist, and then when it was convenient for her to fight.
Well, yeah, and now I will get to basically the thing that is nonsensical, but also for me the most likable thing about the film, and that's look, I'm not a big Chris Pine guy. Usually, I thought he was, for various reasons, but he was good in the first film of Steve Trevor. And he's really good in this, even though he's wasted in this. Unbeknownst to Diana, she gets Steve Trevor back. But she doesn't get him back. Look, this is another really dumb thing about the writing, in my opinion. This magical stone can make all of these magical things manifest. But for some freaking reason, it becomes... Hey, Keely Chow, roll tide, good to see you. It becomes quantum leap. In other words, Steve Trevor just doesn't, pop into existence out of thin air. He has to inhabit the body of some innocent guy, some guy that, so just some dude, just some guy. I mean, just a guy that we don't know who he is.
Yeah, a guy we don't know.
And eventually, right, and when she sees him, and when he looks in the mirror, he sees that dude's face. But when she sees him, she sees Steve, and of course, the audience sees, Chris Pine, and he is the soul and the manifestation of Steve Trevor, the soul of Steve Trevor in the body of this dude, which is weird to me. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't like that setup. I think, look, if we're going to buy into the fact that this artifact can do anything, grant any wish, dude, any wish, then it can't just bring a dude back. Boom, it's just him. And that way, when she later, spoiler, has to say goodbye to him, he would just boom disappear. But no, we gotta have him in the body, and and then of course in the apartment of this innocent dude who had nothing to do with it. Stone can make people drop dead, but can't truly bring them back to life. It was pretty silly. Yeah, exactly, Nicole. The quantum leap thing, I just don't understand what they were trying to do. I really thought it was wrongheaded, and it brought up this question that, as you know. And again, I'm kind of tongue in cheek about this, but I understand what everyone's saying. Basically, they're calling it kind of a she took advantage of him. I don't want to use the word that rhymes with grape.
Yeah.
I don't want to use the word that rhymes with grape. For people who don't know, there's an algorithm on YouTube. If you say that R word that rhymes with grape, it isn't good. It's not a good thing to be saying on here. It's worse. We can say fuck, but
right.
you can't say that. I mean, you can say it, but and I'm not a big channel, so it probably wouldn't matter. But
let's be safe. That scene really like showed off to me a lot of the double standards that exist in Hollywood. Because I mean, let's just put it this way: if that was some girl inhabiting Diana's body, there would be controversy. The Rotten Tomato score would be at like 0%. People would be sounding off. It would probably be on the news. It would be blown up the way certain beer bugs are. And because it's this guy, it's just like blown over, swept under the rug. And it's one of those things like this guy who we don't know. We don't know if he has a family or if he is a guy who was a gay man who had a husband or a boyfriend. We don't know. Yeah, we don't know. Like, it's just like that whole scene with them being intimate. We'll just say intimate. I say that's a safe word. Being intimate, and yet she just pops in this guy's life, and it reminded me of that movie Shallow Hell with Jack Black and Gwyneth Paltrow. If you remember that movie, where it was this movie where Jack Black was Jack Black.
Yes, I remember.
Gwyneth Paltrow was a lot like heavier set, but to him, he saw more of her on the inside as this like like a supermodel figure like type of thing going on, and she had her Shallow Hell moment with saying, "Oh, well, you're this guy, but in my eyes, you're Steve Trevor," and that was just like that was a big red flag seeing that scene, and the fact that like it's probably never going to become anything more than YouTube discussion is kind of weird, and once again furthers Hollywood and their contradictions and this movie and its mixed messages.
Yeah, let's forget the whole grape thing, which is there. They also just used the guy's body. Who knows how long they used it, because it was like July the 4th. And remember, later when she finally actually meets him on the street, not to jump too far ahead, I'm just saying it's Christmas at that point. So, I mean, I don't know how long they used him, but they took him away. It doesn't work. And it's just silly. If you're going to have it all, if you're going to ask us to believe that this stone can do all that crap, fine. But then why do this? I don't understand the thought processes that went into it. I just think it was a really stupid mistake. Now, yeah, my good buddy Problem Being is here. The great Problem Being. Hey, my friend, good to see you, bud. He may have been a little bit discontent with this film.
Yeah.
According to How Logic. Yeah, Tony Robbins has the same powers. That's right.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've seen that one. So, yeah, look, if you're creating your own internal logic, just let Steve, pop in out of thin air. That would have been fine. And nobody would have said anything. We'd go, all right, that's fine. We knew she was going to bring him back. Whatever, that's fine. And it would have worked better, actually, because she would have had to see him basically disappear at the end.
Yeah. So
anyway, we move on, and when they start realizing what's going on with the stone and everything, we'll just jump ahead. Basically, we all know Diana and Barbara work for the Smithsonian. And in this film, Diana and Steve need to get to Cairo, and they're in Washington, D.C. So somehow we find out something I never realized. The Smithsonian museums have fully fueled jets hanging around for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another problem I have: skimping in comic book movies, superhero movies. For example, hey, Jeff, Patty, if you want to have the invisible jet, just do it. Have it come from, it be a magical thing that comes from Paradise Island, Themyscira, that Diana has and uses. And you know what? It's silly, sure, but have it. Don't come up with this dumbass shit where we're supposed to believe that a man from the World War I era who flew biplanes can just it can easily fly a modern day 2020 jet. No, I'm
Oh,
sorry, not
2020
1988,
jet.
1984 jet, excuse me. But it's the
Hmm.
same deal. 1984 jet. I forgot what year we were in because this movie does not do 1984
No,
very
it does
well.
not.
My apologies. I'm old. He can master this technology like this. And then all of a sudden, because you have decided to do this way, you're going to give Wonder Woman a new superpower from the Invisible Woman that she borrowed it, no doubt.
Oh
She's
man.
able to turn things to make things invisible now.
Yeah.
Now, I look, everyone. I've been reading comics for over 50 years, and I know a little bit about Wonder Woman, just a little, maybe a little. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say I know a few things about Wonder Woman, folks.
Mhm.
In fact, I'll put her on the screen here. See this? Wonder Woman through the years, folks. Wonder Woman is not the Invisible Woman, not Sue Richards.
Nope.
Wonder Woman can do a lot of different things. She has no particular magic powers. And she mentions how her father made their island invisible. Okay, yeah, he's Zeus. Sure, it's fine for Zeus to be able to do that, Nick. Um, However, and she says she tried it like 50 years ago in a coffee cup and couldn't find it. How in the flying crap can she turn the jet invisible? That's their excuse. Look, don't have the invisible jet if you're going to do it this way. It's stupid. It's moronic.
Eric K's comment.
Eric K. Eric K. 10 minutes in the penalty box. 15-yard foul. Eric K. You were ejected from the game set.
You know, the technology that changed from World War One into the 80s is, to say drastic, is an understatement. And the fact that all of a sudden that Trevor just mastered that just by doing it, once again, because it needs to be convenient to the story to move the story forward, I couldn't buy it at all. I mean, I couldn't drive a jet at all, but I feel like you would definitely need to take some lessons or classes, something to know, because once again, technology has changed from time to time. Even any basic idiot would know, like, the way jets are made then to 60 years later, because of the timelines of this movie. There's no way you can buy that. And I'm glad you mentioned that that archaeology place that she works at, because if you remember before they got that jet, she used that card to get into the building and those glass doors moved. I mean, you lived the 80s. Do you recall glass doors being that advanced in the 80s? That seemed like a 2000s thing at the least, early 2000s.
I mean, they had some,
Well, ones where they did
Yeah.
that whole whoosh thing,
Yeah,
that just seemed way too advanced for the 80s.
I can barely remember what I was doing last week, brother. But I was there. Look, I mean, and I was 20 years old in 1984. So you'd think I would remember. But yeah, she could do that. She could turn the jet invisible. Why does she use that power all the time? Hell, why don't she just join the Fantastic Four?
Yeah, right. She might as well just hop over to the
Oh,
Marvel Universe just
what are you
because she
doing?
can.
It's so friggin' stupid. So they can fly this jet. They fly again. Steve can fly this thing, no problem. I mean,
I couldn't buy it.
yeah, it was pretty dumb. I would buy it again. If you're going to have the invisible jet, go all out and make it be a piece of magical technology from her island that she's been using for the past 80 years or whatever to get around. Why not? I can buy into that as a fantasy, element to the film. I can suspend disbelief on that better than this. Let's put it like that, because willing suspension of disbelief is the key with any fantasy film like this, especially superhero films. And we're all willing to go along and buy into a guy who can fly and bench press California, a la Superman in the movie, if we're entertained and we're having a good time.
I'm glad you mentioned that statement, because that reminds me. I mean, I don't know how you feel on the 2018 Aquaman movie. I did find it entertaining,
Yeah,
and
it
I
was
have to
entertaining.
mention,
I
I
like.
love when you see that octopus doing the drumming thing. And normally in the normal world, that is the most ridiculous, craziest thing. But in comic books, that's the normal because we look to comics for that those crazy things
Right.
that we see the impossible happen in comics. And because I was entertained during Aquaman, I was just like, you know what, I could totally go with this octopus doing the drums. Hell yeah.
Hey, it's a movie. If it's
Yeah.
entertaining and it has at least some sort of um, internal sense to it that doesn't even break its own rules at every 2 minutes, fine.
I thought
I
Wonder
thought
was more
Aquaman was
consistent.
fairly, yeah, Aquaman was fairly entertaining.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what though? That's right. She may have borrowed those powers from David Copperfield. Good call.
Must have been behind the
Good call,
scenes.
Nicole.
Yeah, off screen,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, I watched that just recently. The Star Trek for the Voyage Home. Love it. So anyway, now we go to Cairo. This is like 15 hours later. No, I mean it's like at this point. Oh God! For some reason, you know what? This movie's so mind-numbing. I forget exactly why they went after this convoy. Max, of course, goes over to. They find out he went there, right? Max goes over there to talk this Egyptian leader of some to give him his to talk him into giving making wishes and whatever what have you.
Mm-hmm.
From there, uh, Diana and Steve. All right, problem being, thanks for popping in, my friend. I'm glad you were here, man, and I know you love the film. Not. Um. So they got to chase them down. I mean, do you remember why?
Oh God, I don't.
I don't
I'm
either.
not trying to say that to be spiteful. I swear, like I would. I already told you a part or an aspect of the film I like. So I'm not trying to trash on it just to trash on it.
No, man. I got you.
I don't really remember.
Anyway, well, it doesn't matter because this is like an hour and a half after the first time we see Diana in action in her Wonder Woman outfit that they never call her Wonder Woman. And so they've got to chase down in a scene that many people have likened to their really wanting to be a Raiders of the Lost Ark type scene, which is just insulting that great scene. Max leaves with the Sheiks. I knew we could count on Nicole.
Oh yeah, because
And
they
the
were
Sheik
finding
security
Max
detail.
because he went to
Yeah,
that country, and that's
there you
why.
go.
That's when on Diana was on that vehicle, and she said, "Where's the
Hey.
stone?" And then Max is like, "I am the stone," type of thing. Yeah,
Exactly.
it's all
Okay.
coming back now. All coming back now.
This scene is sloppy. It's boring. Oh, my buddy Vigilante Williamson. Well, I've always said I like your boy Zach and everything, but he has unbelievably bad taste in movies. He likes The Last Jedi and Fan Four Stick, so he should never be allowed to review movies. But you, Vigilante, VW, I trust you though, man. It just is, we don't agree on this one, brother. This is a bad movie, but anyway, I mean, it's not. There are plenty of worse ones. Don't get me wrong. It's not it's not like Fan Four Stick.
Oh God, we don't speak of that. That's no, but
Yeah, we don't.
And I, no.
They needed to get the stone from Max. They don't know. They don't know he is now the stone. Thank you. So we have this big boring ass chase. From what I understand, he does VW. That's what they say. People like make. He's really very good at reviewing comic books. So
really good.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the rumor. I've heard people say that about him. Even his friends, by the way, his friends have joked with him about it. So anyway, this chase scene is badly CG'd, it's badly shot, and it's just kind of, again, you're supposed to be at this point excited to see Wonder Woman back in action, right? I wasn't. It was just kind of monotonous to me. What did you think of this sequence?
With the CGI to me was what bugged me the most. I was like, I don't expect perfection on CGI. I understand there are things that cannot be done in the real world. So some people they're way too harsh on the CG. Like I get, yes, practical effect is in a perfect world better. But we can't just get a lady like Gal Gadot to just use a rope and hope that she doesn't die. That could be lawsuits up the ass. But, some people will expect that. the CG was just so bad, and the cinematography of it with the CGI during all that scene particularly, because the CG made like the cinematography at face value was not good, and then the CG during that scene was, and there's none of those scenes where I just felt like, wow, this is some great action. I could dig a good CG action fight. Once again, I dug with Aquaman. I totally did. I was sold on it. And of course, most of all, I was entertained, as we have, echoed to each other now. But in this movie, I just didn't feel this. It's just like I felt absolutely nothing. I want to feel something for it because I like the first Wonder Woman movie. I still do, but boy, did this leave a bad taste. And that scene was one of them, one of many of them.
Yeah,
it was tough to watch.
Well, I'm blind as a bat, so it's tough for me to spot anything bad these days. I mean, in other words, I got to be. If I was watching this thing in the daytime, and it's really lighted in my house, at my place, and it's just, I'm going, man, I was spared it. If like a darker room, I probably would have seen even more of the flaws. But everyone has ragged on this scene and other scenes for this 200 million something, whatever ridiculous budget, whatever it was over that, right?
Yeah, it was around 200 million. It makes me wonder how much money was actually spent on the CG.
Yeah, not much. I mean, there were a lot of reshoots too, by the way.
Oh yeah, and to be very fair, because most movies nowadays in the last 5, 10, 15 years, there are reshoots for almost all of them. So I'm not surprised at that part. It's just, it makes me wonder, where did that money go? Because, it's just Joe 47. Roger Ebert, that's a good timing. Where did the money? I don't know.
It doesn't look expensive to me at all. The film
doesn't. I feel like I could watch 80s movies that had their practical puppets and effects, and it would look better.
They look so good. Yeah. I mean, they look better now. Because I have a theory about CGI that I've always put forth, though, is I think I've seen plenty of films where the CGI looks fine to me, but still, remember, we know it is CGI. And I think psychologically, we know that wasn't a practical effect now. We know it's all CGI, and sometimes it makes us more skeptical of it. And we're like, that doesn't look good at all. Or does it? Or maybe I just think it looks bad because I know it's CGI. I think people get that in the back of their mind, and it's tough to get it out of there.
It is, especially because it's becoming more and more of the normal. Like, once again, there is a time and place for it. Like, you can't have Jason Momoa and I can't remember the guy who was Black Manta. He had a really hard name to pronounce, but obviously those guys can't speak underwater. So there are instances where things need to be done, and the fact you can't, I prefer an Aquaman that's in the water. I don't want him to be Earth. That's something that Green Lantern messed up by having him be this Earthling and not a guy on Sector 2814, which they should have.
Exactly.
So that's where they failed there. So if you need to have the CG to get away with those elements and to look at least somewhat decent and once again be entertaining, I'm all good, man. But this CGI is horrendous.
Yeah.
Horrendous.
We're now at a point. Greatest CGI ever. Scorpion.
That's those CGI scenes reminded me of my first grade home videos on the TVs in the early 90s.
That was some bad stuff there, man. Yeah, that was pretty glaring stuff, Mark C. No question about it, brother. So anyway, at this point, we have our little dumb chase scene. It doesn't really go anywhere. We're starting to discover that Diana is losing her powers, or they are diminishing. Part of the price she is paying for her wish, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And she's getting banged up a little bit here. I mean, she still has powers, but they are diminishing, right?
Yep.
And after this point, again, it's just again. I forgot to mention this earlier. To be fair to the film, all of the best stuff in the film, in my opinion, is the interaction between Diana and Steve.
Agreed.
You're with them, and I actually, at least, even though we were talking about the silliness of the jet and all that stuff, when they're on the screen, I care a little bit, and I like them. And I want to see them together. And I'm interested in them. I'm not interested in Barbara Minerva that much. I'm really not. We go back to her, and we go back at this point to some more of her little story, and to me, it just doesn't do a whole lot for me. And I'm not. My buddy VW seems to like Maxwell Lord in this thing. I guess he said the Max Lord stuff is just not interesting to me. I don't know about you.
I know that Max Lord to me he was as loony as Jim Carrey was as the Riddler in Batman Forever. That's what I thought about.
Yeah, he was kind of going on a little bit of the top there.
He was going loony and this is coming from a guy who loves over the top. I love it when things go all the way with it, but I was not feeling it with Maxwell Lord. I just was not. I just like once again. And it didn't help with the mixed messages and the inconsistencies. Oh God! If only that would, for me being a metalhead, that would have made it bearable for me if I heard some Ride the Lightning, especially the title track "Ride the Lightning" or the song "Fight Fire with Fire." Sorry, he threw me off guard with Metallica and that album, so it would have helped for me. Go on now.
Yeah. So the movie meanders on really, and again, the stuff between between Steve and Diana is fine. We later our Mr. Lord goes to the White House to meet President not Reagan, but he is Reagan, but he's not, but he is, but he's not.
Mm-hmm.
And he's now decided to, he wants to give all of the world everything, everyone in the world what they wish for. And he asks President, not Reagan, what he wishes for. Okay. Again, we're not getting really all that political here. The film doesn't get super woke or super political. It does. One of the things we haven't touched on yet is all the crap with how all the stupid men and stuff, but we won't go too much into that. But President, not Reagan, wants more nukes because, of course, it's the Cold War, and we all know what Hollywood people think about him. We all know what they've always thought about him. He was an evil warmonger and all this kind of crap, which is bullshit. But Hollywood always had a bullshit view of Reagan, and so their answer to this is Reagan just wanted more nukes. He could have just. What about wishing for? You know what? I wish the other side didn't have any weapons. We had them all. How about that? I wish we had all the weapons in the world. Nobody else had them. If you're going to make them bad, why don't you make them illogical? Because just wishing that we had more nukes. But then again, you wouldn't have your silly plot of the Armageddon, the nuclear Armageddon happening. You needed that. That's what they needed for their stupid story, their dumbass bullshit story. Let's see. Oh. Yes, she had more. That's very true, Nicole. By the way, Nicole also says Barbara loses her compassion when she gets her wish. She didn't care about losing that when she got her power. That's right. That's right.
Crap! I didn't recognize that. She didn't care about losing compassion. I mean, maybe she didn't know. I mean, was she aware that was a side effect? Because I don't recall them knowing about side effects until Diana, Barbara, and Trevor all went to that hippie guy at that record store, and they were getting some history on the stone. It seemed like that was then where they realized, oh hey, look, be careful what you wish for. There will be a side effect in return. That's the only time I recall them like knowing of a side effect. I don't even recall Maxwell Lord knowing of a side effect, but maybe that just shows you how unentertained I was. So,
yes. And see, here's the thing that interests me about all the questions and things people are posing in the chat. Okay, we're doing this remember everyone, we're just doing this in a chat. We're talking about things in the film, and we're asking fairly logical questions. My question is this: how come people sitting around a table for a $200+ million film, writing a script, don't ask these goddamn questions? Because of course it tears their script, and they go. Anybody with any kind of logic and sense goes, we can't really do this. I mean, we can't. We gotta ask some, because our audience is going to pick this apart. They never. And again, it's not like the first time this has ever happened in any film, but to this level of idiocy, and nonsensicalness, I would think they would at least have tried to be less sloppy. They really just didn't give a crap what they were filming, it seemed like to me. Am I wrong? I think they were just lazy.
Oh, they're totally lazy.
I mean,
they're totally lazy. In the movie had a good cast. I'd say they had a good cast, but it doesn't matter how good the cast is when you have a script like that. It doesn't matter. You can have the best actors, but if the script is shit, well, it's kind of like the whole no matter how much you polish a turd. We all know how the rest of the saying goes.
and Nicole says Barbara should have called she could have called lost all of her knowledge and education. She worked so hard for all her up. Yep. Max was losing his health. He had health issues before, and he was losing his health.
Yep.
Which again, they don't give you a lot of explanation for anything in the film, including that. We do find out after we find out a few more things, we see some stuff again out on the street where Barbara's losing her humanity. She's just being nasty now. I mean, that same old grape-ist guy from earlier.
Yep.
Meets him again and goes and beats the living crap out of him, and and she talks.
She kills him.
Nearly kills him and talks really mean to her homeless friend.
Yep, the one she actually was kind to, and he was kind to her in return. Like they both, it was like they both actually had like a kind gesture towards each other, like they knew each other. Like she even knew him by name, and he was one of the two guys that in the movie that was not a total asshole.
Yeah,
and all of a sudden, so at that point, it's like, are they trying to get us like sympathize with her? Because now all of a sudden, for all this trash talking on guys, but then all of a sudden, it's like, do they want us to feel bad for the guy or for her because she was, ignored all her life and now we gotta pay attention to her? Once again, the inconsistencies are ginormous. I mean, we keep saying consistencies, and I know we're getting repetitive on that, but is it relevant to how much they grow? Yeah, we're just spawning it left and right.
We're not asking for a super intricate or even super detailed plot here. It's a superhero film, but if you don't create at least a few laws and a few rules and stick to them, you have an anarchy of script that really, really means that no stakes and nothing matters and nothing makes any sense when you do that. And as Eric points out, that's the problem. The people in charge are idiots and do not want to hire someone smart because they think it will make them look bad. Stupid is as stupid does. Absolutely. The health supplement taking Max says he was just he will just wish for new organs and not concerned about losing his health. That's right. That's right.
Yep.
Yeah. And well, it's not painting him saintly to not be ridiculous. I mean, first of all, they didn't make any sense. I don't care whether you liked Reagan or not. The way it was written was nonsensical. Because he didn't even, as I said, I threw it out there and played devil's advocate and said, if they're going to portray him badly, they should go all out. It's stupid because Hollywood doesn't understand Reagan. But he could have, again, why would you wish for more nukes when you could say, I wish we were the only one with the nukes. They didn't have any more.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the nuke argument. There are all kind of other things they could have wished for.
Yeah, and as Eric K said earlier, it's what you're thinking would have been too smart for them to think about for this story. So, yeah, the smartness or lack thereof in this case.
Yeah, this film was just slapped together, and again, they did even though they did reshoots, it's still I mean, they didn't really correct anything script wise. They just threw it together, and this it always amazes me when a movie this dopey gets produced. I mean, because people spend hours and hours and hours and hours and days and months in editing rooms looking at this stuff. Don't they ever go, God, you know what, man, that part there. Jesus Christ, that makes no sense. It's really stupid. And they go, that'll be fine.
Oh,
as your boy Critical Drinker always says, it'll be fine.
No, it's true, especially since the movie was supposed to, as I mentioned at the very beginning of the stream, this movie was supposed to come out in December 2019. They could have said, okay, well, look, this beer bug is holding us over from putting this movie up. Maybe we should, since we got some time to wait for this movie to come out, why don't we go take a second glance over and see if we should maybe fix any little things, maybe tighten some nuts and bolts. They had plenty of time. Oh, hey, once again, Mark of the Sea. It's like when I say a line, like
there you go.
Mark chat just says it. They had plenty of extra time to work on this movie. Like, they had it in their court to work to their advantage from that whole extra year to work on the movie. And it looks like they just... No one spent hours and
You said it, VW.
The worst part is I believe that. That's the worst part about it. I believe
fine.
This is fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine. That people will like it because it's superhero. Oh, so
we're not that stupid. Like, do they really think we're that stupid? Like,
they do. Well, yeah, they do. Absolutely they do. Well, I don't know about they and all of them, but But look. So anyway, again, we're not doing big details here. We're just kind of we're skimming it over, basically giving basic stuff of the film. So there are very detailed reviews that do this more. Let's see, but Nicole is winning the day here. She's always got the best stuff to say. If Max is now the Stone, why aren't all wishes canceled when he renounced his wish to become the Stone? I don't know.
Yeah, that didn't make sense because hearing he was the wish bearer, like even Aladdin got that right in the 90s because that was the genie. You put the genie in the bottle, you can't make any more wishes, and Max renounces his wish, and all of a sudden all wishes are not all gone. Yeah, oh my god,
it's brutal. And again, remember, amongst all this stuff, my friends, I promise you, I've seen movies that didn't make a lot of sense before that will go, yeah, but I had a good time. I was not having a good time in any of this.
Nope.
I was bored. Again, even though I really love Gal Gadot, and I'm even in this, I don't mind Chris Pine. I think the two of them work well together. At this point, I'm bored shitless. I am just like, I can't. It feels like I've been sitting there for 4 hours. I even had to turn it off and go to a Christmas thing and get together and come back and watch the last hour of it.
That's funny you mentioned that because I was talking to the comics division yesterday on our Mandalorian Roundtable on Real Review 3000, and he was well, I think he said earlier in the day he was watching the movie. He was like at an hour and a half, and then he was doing the roundtable with us. I was just like, dude, stop where you are and turn back and say, oh, but I gotta do my review. I'm like, you can already do your review off that. You didn't miss anything besides Cheetah's look. But
we're supposed to believe, by the way. Canadian Spider-Man does whatever a Canadian Spider can. Hey, bro.
What's up, Spidey?
Thanks for being here, man. Well, let's see here. Oh, he says, so I'm talking on the phone with a lady. Well, I would rather be doing that than talking to Nick. No offense, Nick. I'm just kidding you, bro.
None taken, man.
We're just kidding, buddy.
We're good. We're good.
So the whole entire world renounced. Yeah, this is the thing about this is one of these things. How do you get the entire world to renounce their wishes minutes later? Yeah, I'm so sure someone who wished, for example, I don't care, and there had to be some crazy wishes. The whole friggin' world, dude. But just basically, if you wished for $2 billion or whatever the hell you wished for, you're going to go, oh, it was wrong of me to wish that. Let me just go ahead and renounce it. Yeah. That's why you don't write this story.
Yeah, like what if someone just said, I wish to have my dog back? Or what if Bruce Wayne asked to have his parents back?
That's what,
take Bruce Wayne's parents away again?
Exactly. I renounce my wish. How many, there may be some selfless people that you can, because at the end, and we'll get to that part. We're kind of skipping ahead a little. But at the end, Max, she talks Max into it. That's how she beats him. But see, the whole point is the nobility of Diana. You can see her renouncing her wish. The problem is when you give the entire planet their wish. When you give the entire planet, you expect everybody to give up their wish? And some of the wishes would be so... This plot doesn't work for a lot of reasons. Some people would wish some evil shit that would destroy everybody. I mean, there would be so much chaos and so much destruction with 9 billion people getting wishes. There wouldn't be any reality left. If you really, that's why you can't write this story. Some fuckers will be wishing for crap that would destroy it. Don't like I wish the world would just blow up. Boom, we're dead.
Oh, I know, right? There's always that pessimist, like, in the world, would the world somehow just not blow up just because the movie needed to keep going? Like, this whole wish for thing, and every single person renouncing their wishes. What about the little girl who wanted their dog back? Like
everybody
renounces. You expect them to just give that up? Like, really?
See, if you're gonna do the wish fulfillment thing, don't make it the whole damn world.
And when you're doing that too, not only did they make they made the whole damn world, they made it seem like every human being wanted to wish for something bad or something over the top. No one could have like a very noble wish. Like, really, not one person that they showed on that screen
had a noble wish. That's true.
A noble wish.
That's true.
Not one. I was waiting for it. Not one.
It just doesn't work.
No.
Christopher Crockett, my good friend. Thanks for being here, buddy. Great old pal of mine. So yeah, in other words, that's what I'm saying. When you do this wish fulfillment story, it's fine, but you can't do it where everybody on the planet gets it. It just doesn't. It's too much. It's too much. Mm-hmm. It's bad. I mean, it's pretty crazy anyway, but that's too much. But like you say, they don't even show anybody wishing for anything noble. But again, your movie's already 2.5 friggin' hours. So at this point, backtracking just a little bit, the scene where we realize, or where Diana realizes and Steve realizes that he has to give her. Excuse me. What if Thanos had the stone? Good, Nicole. I love you. You're on fire tonight. I love you.
Yeah, right. She's killing it. Yeah, she should have chimed in on this.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, so they decide, Steve and Diana, and he has to talk her into giving him up. And see, that's pretty good stuff right there. That whole bit is good. And it could have been in a more movie that made more sense. That could have worked very well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And so that's a pretty sad scene. It's pretty tough. Backtracking a little bit before that, they had to fight in the warehouse. And fight in the White House. I want to talk about this for a second. There's a big fight in the White House, and where it's pretty stupid because she fights Wonder Woman as Barbara Minerva. Mm-hmm. But I like the fact that, again, I don't mind the tone of this film. Snyder fans won't like it because it's too light in tone. Mm-hmm. The tone's fine. It's just that the story sucks. And Wonder Woman, there's scenes in there where she's still trying to protect the men because she knows none of it's their fault. They're being controlled and all this kind of crap. Mm-hmm. And so I did like that aspect of it. She was still trying. She was always heroic. Yeah. That's a stickler with me because Zack Snyder doesn't believe in superheroes being heroic.
Zack Snyder thinks everyone acts like Batman, and then says every character needs to act like this. Yes,
and again, I know he didn't write the film; he is producer. He didn't have much, but I'm just saying there's a good deviation from the usual Snyderverse, which I know a lot of friends out there don't agree. I hate the Snyderverse, but some don't. But opinions vary. Captain Trek, hey, my friend, good to see you. But that's why that was one. I didn't mind the tone of the film. But jumping back to Steve and Diana, that's a decent scene.
Oh, yeah.
It's still weird because you got the whole body possession thing.
Yeah.
But
I felt like that one scene kind of did Steve Trevor's, I don't want to say passing in this movie, because he technically, as he even said in his words, he is already dead. But we'll just say his exit from the movie. If this movie did one thing better than the first movie, it was his exit. Because it did feel a little, I don't know, too convenient for my taste for the first movie. But I feel like this second movie handled his exit better, despite being the body of another person. But if the message was more heartfelt, because it didn't, when he said "I love you" to Diana and then took off, it didn't feel like that love was, to me, earned. I felt like they had a good thing going and it felt natural, but it didn't feel like it was ready to get to that point yet in the first movie. But this time I really did believe he truly loved her. And
sure,
but like I said, unfortunately it was not the actual Steve Trevor, but at least the wording, it was
his soul. But
his wording, the dialogue was definitely better at that part. So I felt like his exit was better. That's the one thing the movie did better.
Yes, it did do that well. And again, that's another good point where VW makes the guy whose body they had just hijacked lost about like seemingly anyway. I mean, it's kind of tough to do, like 6 months of his life or whatever.
Oh yeah,
Just
I know, vigilante. If you were in here earlier, I was just saying, what if this was a man who had like a wife and kids, or even what if it was what if he was gay? But like there's so many things they didn't think about with this guy's body he took possession of.
Now I wouldn't have minded being him, but yeah, not everybody feels that way.
Like it's just like it's so like, come on, guys, like
it was really dumb.
It was really dumb. Absolutely dumb. And
so
let's go ahead.
No, yeah, again, but anyway, from that point, after she gives him up, she could fly.
Oh yeah.
Now again, a lot of people who don't really know Wonder Woman well are saying, "What's this flying business?" Well, you've read comics. She can fly, and the flying, gliding thing is not unheard of for Wonder Woman. So,
oh yeah,
which is all fine. But what's the statement there? Now that she finally gave up this horrible pipe dream that she needed a man for happiness, now she's free and she can fly. We get it, Patty. We get it. Thank you.
And once again, you just brought up more of the mixed messaging. I mean, because like every guy's perceived as a jerk, but yet Diana needs her. The thing that completes her is a man. God.
Yes.
Damn it.
Exactly. That's what the whole time I'm going, wow, that's not very good messaging thing. The thing that she really wants is a man. That's not good. That's not very Hollywood. But again, once she loses him, once she renounces it, gets rid of him, she's free as a bird. She can fly now. They fly now.
And Rod Thunderheart, I'm just going to say, going into the movie, I was very against them bringing Steve Trevor back. But now I'm going to backtrack and say, man, maybe it was actually a better idea if they just did. Well, so you don't have that body thinging going on.
Well, in comics, back in the old days anyway, in the Silver and Bronze Age, Steve Trevor died and came back to life a billion times. That's kind of a trope.
Oh, God, yeah. In DC time, dude, you die and you come back a million times over, man.
Yeah.
Unless you're Uncle Ben or Gwen Stacy, like, yeah.
We used to say that about Bucky also until Winter Soldier happened.
Well, yep.
Yeah.
Everyone
but for a long time, he stayed dead pretty long time, considering.
I'll give them credit. No, they did do it, and Kraven the Hunter was for a while as well.
But nobody stays dead. Nobody's ever really gone.
No.
The entire story would have worked if the real Steve came back in physical form. Absolutely, that would have been far less creepy and annoying.
Yep.
It just would have worked so much better. So now that she can fly, she goes, and by the way, earlier in the film, yes, we missed stuff. They'd shown this little bitty scene where she's explaining to Steve why she has this golden armor, which looks a lot like the armor from Kingdom Come.
It totally is.
It looks a lot like that. And for those who don't know Kingdom Come, well, one day I'll be doing a special show all about it. Hopefully Mark C will do it with me. But anyway, it looks like the armor from Kingdom Come. She goes and gets this golden armor so they could sell action figures, and flies to this place where I guess it's supposed to be the last confrontation of the film, where she's got to stop Maxwell Lord from broadcasting all over the world via satellite to everyone, so they could, grant everybody in, their wish or what have you. Yeah. Let's see here. 7-year-old Anna can lasso tall beams in the arena and swing through the air. Fast forward 100 years later, still haven't figured out how to fly and glide. Yeah, because in the comics she could do that. That really made no sense.
No.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, man. Mark C, dude. We'll maybe after Simonson's Thor or whatever we can slip Kingdom Come in there, man. And so anyway,
the obstacle course of challenge agent. I mean, yeah, in the normal world, but this is also
she has
mascara.
Powers.
Yeah, and she has powers. She's expected to be able to pull off not normal things.
Well, yeah, she's fine. I mean, that isn't that. Anyway, so now we're going to this island or whatever the hell it is where she's got to stop. Yeah, the government. Yep, exactly. Nicole's all over it tonight, man. She keeps us going.
Thank you, Nicole.
You're
absolutely killing it.
She should be doing this show, not us. Let's be honest.
Right? No, seriously. No, they go. I remember because they go to that area where the president would normally do his formal announcement type of thing because they got that like stand for him to speak on too. And if you notice, like they kind of had Maxwell Lord kind of posed as the Orange Man, like
he was the president, pretty much.
They are trying to make him pose like him. Maybe it's one of those, maybe because I pay attention for little details, but I can totally tell they're having him stand the way he does.
Right. So there's no question about it.
Oh yeah. So, and then I'll call son. I can get this wish and I can get that wish. So I was just like, what is this? Is he like trying to be a Billy May sales guy over here? Like, but wait, there's more. I can give you a wish too.
Yeah. So. He's giving the whole world their damn wishes and what have you. And along comes our big fight I'd be honest with you at this point, I'd almost forgot about Barbara. There were a few other scenes with Barbara and Max together and stuff. And she wished to be an apex predator, that kind of stuff. Well, she shows up to fight. You can't call her Wonder Woman. They don't call her that in the movie. Diana in her armor. Yeah. And she now looks, you know what she looks like? She looks like a Star Trek alien. And she doesn't even look like a real Star Trek alien, a fake one, like, from that piece of crap Star Trek Beyond, that woman with the white paint or whatever. She looks sort of like that. She looks like an alien furry sometimes. She doesn't look like Cheetah.
All right. Did you see the movie Cats?
I did not see that. Did you?
Well, what I survived of it, I did. I'll say it looked better than Cheetah in this movie. It looked better. And that's not saying a lot. That's not a compliment towards either of the movie. I'm just saying that Cats looked less shittier. Less shittier. Not saying a lot, but man, when the Cats movie looks better than Cheetah on a high budget, summer blockbuster action flick is a problem.
Well, Rod, remember, first of all, I don't know if you're saying you don't think Orange Man loves his kids or not. I don't think I would agree with you on that anyway. But see, there were Orange Man parallels. The thing is, Patty Jenkins herself and Pedro Pascal and others said it for years that was them taking a run at Orange Man. So if that's put into people's heads, it's their fault. Now it's subtle. There's certain parallels here and there to Orange Man, okay? But it's not really, really over the top, but it's there in certain subtle ways. But again, it would probably not even come up as much if they didn't put it out there themselves that it was Orange Man. So, anyway, I just wanted to put that up. Yes, and that's a good, like Rod says, everybody gets a wish.
And you get a wish. And
you get a wish.
And you get a wish. Seriously, it was Oprah meets Billy Mays right then and there on that scene. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, I hate the Screw 52. Screw 52. I hate me the Screw 52. Sucks.
Oh man. That was basically them responding to Christopher Nolan's let's make every character edgy because The Dark Knight did so well. So let's just make every character as edgy and grim as Batman. Anyways, Wonder Woman 84. Because we could have a 52 conversation for another day. But
yeah, I actually agree with you there, Vigilante. He was more sympathetic. It's not a glaring Orange Man parallel. But again, they kept saying that it was.
Oh, they totally
not me. Yeah. Not Nick and not you. It was Patty Jenkins and others saying it. So I think they meant it to be in some ways. Then remember, they were saying that a long time ago. Then they went and chopped the film up and redid a lot of stuff.
Maybe because before they rechopped it, maybe it was Because if, as you said earlier, it was definitely subtle, and I agree, it was like it wasn't like all over, like way on the nose, like some modern comics would be. It was definitely not like it didn't beat us over the head with Orange Man Bad. It really did not. There was just subtle parts of it, and maybe before they chopped it up, it could have been way more on the nose for all we know, and maybe they undid some of that for all we know. And I'm always it almost makes me wonder if they did undid some of that. Could the movie
I
have
think
been
they probably
a bit
did.
better?
Yeah. Well, the movie needed a trim anyway.
Oh
'cause there's
yeah, it still needs a bit more.
Well, and also they slipped. You notice they slipped in the typically the tired old Hollywood trope bad dad stuff when he flashed back to his own father.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. They're
Yeah,
making
yeah.
Pedro a bad dad who couldn't be there for a second when his son's like, "I just want to be with my dad," and he's just like, "No, you need to wish for more. You need to wish for success." So they're trying to make him like forceful on his son, but then out of nowhere at the end, all of a sudden he needs to see his son, and that scene was just really awkward to watch.
It was all weird, and again, it just everything about this film, the writing is just so terrible.
Oh yeah, it
It's
sucks.
just absolutely. This is such a poorly written film that, and again, it's not even supplemented by fun or interesting action. So, at the end, she has to basically talk Max into relenting, renouncing his wishes and all that good stuff, and problem solved. She just talks him out of it
Yeah.
before he, and at that, and we're lucky that nobody wished for really destructive crap. But I guess if they did, as long as Max was okay, he could just reverse it all. Again, that means this film has no stakes at all.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's you have to also remember, like, there's no stakes with that, and we also know, like, Wonder Woman lives on to go into that Zack Snyder movie that you and I are clearly not too fond of. We'll call it that Zack Snyder movie.
BVS, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now again, in that film, she said she hadn't been Wonder Woman in 100-something years or whatever.
Was it really? I don't want to. I mean, I can't remember what the specific year number was.
A long time.
I do remember her saying she had like lost her like her faith or hope for humanity. So that was her like kind of coming back in that movie, and that movie. Oh god. Once again, this. I get it. No continuity in any story is perfect ever, but those are things they could have looked at. Or even since Gal Gadot said those lines, she didn't remember those lines.
Yeah, well, they didn't think about it. And again, Zach and his wife are producers. So, I mean, they're credited as producers, but I don't know. That doesn't
like
mean much.
executive, which is
It said producers.
Nothing.
It said producers, but that doesn't mean anything either now. I mean,
Yeah.
but it did say, pretty sure it didn't say exec, but I could check again. But either way.
Yeah, regardless, we got the outcome that we did. Yeah,
that's true, Mark. See, Mark with a C. Yeah, you know what? The movie destroys Snyderverse canon, which to me that'd be a good thing, but they won't stick with it anyway, Vigilante. So you Snyder fans don't have anything to worry about because he's just going to ignore it anyway.
Oh, I know, right?
And then Jar Jar Abrams is going to come along and ignore all of it anyway as well. So,
oh god, yeah.
So none of that canon means anything to anybody, especially not Jar Jar Abrams. So even whatever Snyder does with the Snyder Cut won't matter because Jar Jar Abrams is going to come along and do his own crap, and I don't know if he'll work with Snyder or not, but I don't know.
He'll because wasn't he approached to want to do Superman? So we already know what'll happen. Superman will probably be a lot less smarter than Lois Lane. I mean, Lois Lane is inherently smart. She's a great reporter, but they're gonna dumb down like Clark's intelligence just to make her.
Well, yeah, it's gonna be
that much. Yeah, they'll make her just to make her seem that much more smarter than Clark, and it's gonna just be Superman being a supporting character in his own movie. So at this point, I'll just stick to my Superman comics that I truly enjoy.
I'll stick to back issues myself.
That's right.
But and Back Issue Magazine. But so anyway, we got our film now. We've saved the world from nothing. And nobody, and nothing's happened, and nothing happened for 2.5 hours. And on the street a little bit later in Christmas time, I suppose. Diana runs into her the surrogate body, the dude who's who I get. I don't know how. We don't learn how long he was displaced. Why bother with any kind of explanation? And he runs into her on the street, and they talk, and they explain, exchange pleasantries, and she's nice to him and everything, and he doesn't ask her out, so we don't know. You might have been you're thinking about him being gay. It might have been true. You never know. But he seemed like a good enough dude. It's a shame he got victimized like that. But
well, if you recall early on in the movie, he tried to talk to her, and she was kind of snotty towards him. I mean, I already know she was naturally distant just because she likes to just kind of be alone. But the minute she said that line about, or he said that line about, I wish we could have had more time, and then all of a sudden, like it was like,
well, you bring up a good point that I didn't even address. Okay, this is 1984, right? Steve has been gone since 19 or something. In other words, look, I get, love and all that stuff, but how many people do we know in real life? I don't know, it's a fantasy. When they lose a loved one like that, they move on and they I guess she just pined for him for all that time, right? If you'll pardon the pun. And she couldn't just move on to somebody else, or I don't know. That's a long time to be hung up on somebody in any sense.
Between that and who knows how long she was working at a job as an archaeologist, and no one said, "Hey, you've been alive for a long time. What's up with that?"
Yeah. So the movie ends, everyone. And again, on this wonderful, weird, positive note, because we've said, I guess at this point you're just glad it's over. And we get the post, or the not after credits, but after the credits roll, we get the credit break. And early into the credits, we get a little break. We have a scene where another setting, where yet another scene where a female child gets in trouble or gets in danger, and a female hero rescues this kid. And then we get our look at this lady, and it felt kind of cool if you're old and you love Linda Carter. You get our Linda Carter cameo.
About time.
And she's beautiful and wonderful, and she's Asteria. She's basically the woman that was spoken of earlier, who originally wore the armor there. Asteria, or whatever it was.
Yeah, it was Asteria. No, you're right.
So that was kind of cute.
I enjoyed that scene. I enjoyed it. I thought that was it was a nice scene to finally give her nod. So maybe hopefully the younger generation who's watching this, like, oh hey, who's she? Because nowadays, since they don't know something, they use their phones right away. And in this case, that's a good thing, because now you'll get people who don't normally know of the 70s Wonder Woman be like, oh, I should check this out. And she's aged very well, so good for Linda Carter. Man, that's cool as shit. That man, I was
she's wonderful. Linda Carter's wonderful. We love her, and she's just beautiful, and it was a real nice thing to see. Absolutely,
it was about time she got that respect. I was happy with that particular scene.
So that was nice. And again, the movie itself, like I say, there are far worse comic book films. As I said, it's just really, if you take all the nonsense and ridiculous things out that we talked about, which are too glaring to ignore, so it really damages the film, in my opinion. Then you get to all the boredom and all the not really particularly well done action scenes. They don't help either. And what do you have left? You have some kind of okay stuff between two characters that have good chemistry that we like, being Gal Gadot and Steve Trevor and Diana. Mm-hmm. Some of that stuff's pretty good. I mean, it's kind of okay, but the rest, some people do like Pedro's performance and thought that was entertaining. I was just kind of, it was meh to me. It's fine, but it really wouldn't do a whole lot for me personally.
It just existed for me.
Yeah.
It just existed.
You got Kristen Wiig, if that's your thing. She's her at her Kristen Wiggiest. The movie doesn't have a whole lot. It's all pretty, again, other than I think its most interesting point is how ludicrous the plot is, because you can talk about it for hours how it makes no goddamn sense.
No.
And that's the biggest talking point of the film, because yeah, you can knock the CG and all that stuff, but it really this movie is a mess. A mess.
It is an absolute mess. Like, and once again, no continuity is ever perfect, ever, and that's fine. But this is just one thing after another after another. Like, you don't even have to try to like go out of your way to nitpick it. It's just right there out in the open, and it's super obvious. Like, you don't need to have a high IQ to understand how sloppily written this movie was. You could have swore with how sloppy it was written, you could have swore it could have been a case of too many cooks in the kitchen. But when you look at the credits, it's just Jeff Johns and Patty Jenkins.
And
You
a
would
couple
think,
other people. Yeah.
yeah, you could have swore this would have been like 6 to 8 people having their fingerprints all over it when it's just really a few.
That's curious. I mean, I don't know. It just turned out the way it did, because I don't think they really cared that much. It's nothing like the first film. First film, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, I had a lot of people. I was fairly critical of the third act of it. I thought it kind of fell apart a little bit at the end there, but it's an enjoyable. It is a lot more to it. There's certainly a far better film than this one, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I do agree with VW. I mean, it better than X-Men 3, of course, and Thor Dark World. I can name a bunch of comic book movies that is certainly not as bad as VW,
Mm-hmm.
no question about it. Now, there's some people who are liking it, which is fantastic. So, look, if you have not seen it and you do want to watch it for yourself, hey, you might like it better than we did. I just can't say I did. I can't really. I just, again, I think its biggest sin, even though we went through all the things that don't make any sense, its biggest sin really is the movie's not exciting. And it's not a lot. It has a fun tone to it, but it's really not a lot of fun for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I need
Oh,
that
yeah.
with a superhero film. That's what I want. That's what a superhero film should be, in my opinion.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, once again, as you mentioned earlier, like we can overlook certain things, even if they're kind of sloppy and all over the place, if we're entertained. And this movie couldn't even do that. Like, yeah, I had to like to make sure. I actually went out of my way to make sure I didn't take a nap to this movie because I've heard people saying that they fall asleep. I actually took a nap before the movie just so I can make sure I can get through it, so I can properly review it. I went on my way to make sure I didn't fall asleep, because I'm glad I did, because if I hadn't taken that nap before the movie, I would have fallen asleep during it. You
I
damn
don't
well
blame you.
sure I would have.
Like,
That's
oh
commitment
man,
to getting the job done.
absolutely, absolutely. And I think, I think one of the reasons I think that a lot of people the people who do like it will tell you, she is so wonderful as Wonder Woman,
Oh,
even though they
yes.
don't want to call her Wonder Woman in the films.
For some reason.
That does carry a lot. Look, for example, of course, I love Christopher Reeve is so brilliant as Superman. Superman, the movie is my favorite all-time superhero film, and I'm one who's deeply critical of Superman 2, but I do like the Donner cut. Okay, Superman 3 and 4 are objectively bad films in my opinion, and yet I can watch them all day long because Christopher Reeve is still so great as Superman. He's
Oh
so brilliant.
yeah.
So
Oh
I can watch them
yeah.
and laugh at how dopey they are and whatever. And yes, wish they would have been so much better and better stories. They have problems, but there's still Christopher Reeve there. I think Gal Gadot brings a lot of that to this role, where even if you don't like the movie that much, she's terrific. She's wonderful and can carry it to an extent. You don't want to dislike a movie with her as Wonder Woman. You don't want to.
Oh yeah. And I get where
You
that
know?
comes from. I do. I do get where that comes from. She is definitely, like, figuratively, she is watchable to, feel you do want to root for her, and like you feel magnetized to her character and her character arc. So yeah, and that she does definitely carry that. And I like, as you mentioned, the tonality of the movie. I think, I mean, despite Patty Jenkins having her hate or non-hate for men, whatever you want to call it anymore, she has said that she has been influenced by the Richard Donner Superman movies, and I feel like to a degree it shows a little bit in this movies. If only it could just been entertaining. like them. But it wasn't, and it's a shame because I love the tonality. I like this
Yeah.
optimistic idea. That's what I want more out of. I don't need every movie to read like a Frank Miller drama, and that's come from someone who enjoyed Frank Miller in
Sure.
his prime. We don't need.
Sure.
The problem is when his stories did well, certain writers saw that and said, "Okay, every story needs to be like that," and then we got overfed with it for decades, and we are still
Well,
getting fed with it to some
yeah.
degree now.
Well, it was Frank Miller and Alan Moore that really did
Oh
all
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
Alan Moore too. Oh yeah,
And
that's true. No, Alan
I
Moore
love
did
a
it
lot of
too.
their work, but they will. Well, Miller never admitted it. More before Moore went completely insane. He admitted that a lot of the stuff that he and Frank did changed comics for the worse, made
Oh
them
yeah.
too dark. Let's see here. I love Superman 3 because it's filmed primarily here now. Calgary is downtown metropolis,
Dave
and High River
Gibbons.
and Swan. Oh, there you go. What about Dave Gibbons?
I do know he had said that after Watchmen came out that he wanted to do something more optimistic because he himself didn't want to be lumped in with just nihilism and pessimism for the rest of his life. So, but now he's stuck with that title. Like he wanted to escape from, but he couldn't escape from it. So it's just, it's sad that,
Yeah.
and Hollywood
V-
is loving this nihilism. Like
VW.
they are loving it.
Well, VW. That's why I personally despise the Snyderverse. I hate it. I had too many problems with Shazam because I'm too much of a Captain Marvel purist. I hated what they did with that film, but at least it had the right kind of tone. Aquaman's goofy, fun, and it's kind of like a one-timer. You watch it a couple times, and it's pretty damn goofy, but at least it's fun. That's the tone I want out of my superhero films. So that's why I'm indifferent. Fine that he gets to make his Snyder cut not because fans want it so much, just because he got kind of screwed over. So I just don't think it's going to be any good. But it's fine; people are getting it. But I will say that I would, anything would be better than what's coming down the pike, and that's going to be Jar Jar Abrams in charge of Warner Brothers. So I don't know if he and Zach are going to make a good team or not. We'll see. It'll be a clash, but either way, it won't be all that interesting to me because it won't be the characters I love. So
No, it won't be. It won't be. I mean, a lot, especially nowadays, it's becoming more and more common, and it's not just happening in comics, but it seems like it's starting to happen definitely in shows, and I think movies are not far from it. There are a lot of these writers and directors who are making these movies. They're starting to take these characters and putting themselves in it as a complete self-insert. Like to some degree, every writer has put at least a sliver of themselves in the character, but it seems like nowadays it's the full body insert, like
that's
mannerisms, like personality and everything. Like, and now it's just like at that point it's not the character anymore. And that's something that is now gonna ruin all these characters that we grew up to love. Like soon before you know it, we're not gonna have Batman be Batman. He's just gonna be a guy moping over Catwoman because he got turned down at the altar, and we're gonna have Superman just be, I don't know, not Superman. A lot of people don't know Superman's actually smart, and
yes,
he's just
Zack Snyder didn't know that.
No, he didn't know that. No, he decided that he was dumb, and his parents made the Kents gave him the worst advice and dialogue ever, and that's
Horrible.
why. Oh, I know. I'm like,
Edie Myers.
What's up, Myers? Nice to see ya. Nice to meet ya. But yeah, and that's why I'm not optimistic with this universe. Like I want to be because I love DC, but it's hard to when you see the people who are involved. Like when you look at the surface and say, "Oh, hey, this is coming out," yes. But when you see guys like us, they were like, "Oh no, we had to look to see who's involved before we can think about getting excited because we had to look beyond the surface."
Sad. Well, a good example of why I think how tone deaf that they are and they don't get it. I know it's dangerous to pick on Snyder because he got so many big rabid fans out there. Just don't happen to be one of them. I think he's a good stylistic director. He screwed the story of Watchmen up badly, even though it looked good. But in BVS, you have the scene where Facebook Luthor is running around trying to chew up scenery and talking about the big fight that he had instigated between Batman and Superman, and he called it the Dark Knight and the whatever. When he basically says night and day, no, you're wrong. In this, they're supposed to be night and day in comics. In this movie, they were more like night and gray because Superman was not day in those movies. He was not bright. There was no bright colors. He was not an optimistic character. He wouldn't act anything like Superman. He was mopey man. He was a guy running around. His powers were a burden. He didn't like his powers in that stupid ass movie. So you didn't create the contrast properly, Zach.
Nope, there was
you had no business saying night and day. They were the same. It was very little. One had superpowers, one didn't. They were both the same because you don't understand Superman. And by the way, this is a guy on record before he did Man of Steel. He said, Superman's a dork. I don't really like him. They gave him the job anyway. He said, I don't like the character. And he proved he had no respect for the character. But people like that. They just want. There were literally people running around before Man of Steel came out saying, look, I just want to see a movie where Superman punched somebody. Really? That's what you take away from Superman? Superman is values. And he's an icon, and he's so much more. He's optimism, he's hope. You can have a dark story, but Superman is the light in that story.
He's compassionate, very compassionate. The thing is, and when he's Clark Kent, like, yes, he's actually very smart, but his whole thing is, like, once again, like, the fight, like, the one thing besides the cinematography and the casting of Henry Cavill, they had a good idea of Henry Cavill, but with a really bad script, and once again making Superman doom and gloom, like he ended up just being like Batman with powers.
Cavill, great casting, love the guy.
I do too.
Him. Yeah, Bat of Gotham, son of Krypton. That's right. Yes, but they weren't contrasting enough.
Nope.
Other than the fact that Batfleck in that movie was a psycho killer, but other than that, and
yeah, I mean, psychotic in that. Like when he branded that one guy, when he branded him with that mark, like, yeah, Batman's aggressive, he bruises, but he doesn't kill. Like he beats people pretty bad. He'll break an arm, but he's not gonna torture them.
Oh, he was slaughtering people in that film.
Oh, I know. He didn't have like a flamethrower or something, or like
dude.
some.
Yeah, he was
he had like some big old
killing
weapon.
Some bitches are in that thing. But yeah, and there's also the dumb scene where Superman's standing in that courtroom. Exactly, D.D. Myers, exactly. And it blows up, and then he's just standing there, and then everybody's dead, and he's like, wow, so I guess you guys aren't invulnerable like me. Well, sucks to be you. What's for lunch, guys? Oh, I guess you're not going. Wow, sucks to be human, you guys. Look, Superman would have detected the bomb going off and his hearing. I'm sorry to be a geek on you, Mr. Snyder. Superman would never let that bomb go off. He would get it out of there at invisible super speed.
Oh, yeah, easily.
There's no way that bomb kills it. And that's the point of Superman, to rescue and save people. And he would have saved them. That's one of the most disgusting scenes I've ever seen in a movie.
Oh, yeah.
Amongst a lot of disgusting scenes in Snyder's Superman take. But there are people out there that rabidly follow him like a cultist. And again, he's a good dude and all that stuff. He's a nihilist, and he's wrong about Superman, and he's wrong about his DC characters. But look, they can enjoy their 4-hour Snyder cut where it's going to be dull and dingy colors and boring and all that stuff. Fine, But they just thought me. What the hell? But hey, whatever. They don't really they don't get Superman. They don't understand him. And look, Justice League is a train wreck. It's terrible, but at least they acted like superheroes. That's the only part he got right.
They acted like heroes. Yeah, that's the one thing that they got right, was they actually acted like heroes, and they were trying to like come around to being a team and not having their 800th Civil War.
That's right. That was the Punisher, not Batman. And then, because look, Joss Whedon is an ass. But in Avengers Age of Ultron, which I like, a lot of people don't like it. It has its faults.
Oh, it does. I don't mind it either.
The last scene in Sokovia, the big long-ass scene in there, he made a point, and earlier even, to show the heroes rescuing people, because he said, you see Man of Steel, at this time it was Man of Steel had been out, and he said, Superman doesn't rescue people, he just fights and stuff. And one of the key things about superheroes is They try not to get people killed when they're fighting, and they rescue people. That's the key.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 times as Clarky rescues people in that movie, then Paul Costner tells him that he doesn't care.
Yeah, don't save
He
them.
don't do it.
Don't
and then
save
things
them.
like that.
Yeah.
And here's the thing about that. Here's the key about that. Here's why I don't mind that, Nicole. It's true. Wonder Woman kills the general in the first movie. Wonder Woman is a warrior. Okay, she wasn't really technically at that point yet a superhero. She was a warrior from Themyscira, and in a war situation, even Captain America, who is a superhero, fought in a war.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit different. So I have no problem with it. But superheroes shouldn't kill or murder. And so I find that there'd be a distinction on that. So for me, not everybody's different. Look, some people like their superheroes to kill. I don't prefer it. I kind of think that it was never ratified into law at some point in comic book history. Because in the early days, Batman, Captain Marvel, even Superman, they killed.
Yeah, the very, very, very,
very early one.
Oh yeah, when Batman had those super huge ears. Oh yeah, he
did. Batman carried a gun until they gave him an origin and switched it because he didn't have an origin in the first couple of issues.
Yep.
So Bill Finger really gave him one. So
thank you, Bill.
But eventually, thank you, Bill. Eventually, it just became sort of. They decided, you know what? These people with superpowers are already kind of skirting the law by being vigilantes. Mm-hmm. And taking the law in their own hands. So maybe they should have a code. Superman made a code for himself in the Silver Age. I don't care how silly he was. I love the Silver Age Superman. And in the end of Bronze Age, that he wouldn't kill people because he says Superman doesn't have the right to. He thinks he doesn't have the right to kill anybody. He doesn't. Punisher, and by the way, that kills the whole story of the Punisher, who was kind of ripped off from an old character called the Executioner from novels. But if everybody kills and the Punisher's there's nothing. His story is meaningless. So superheroes they go out of their way not to kill. Remember in the greatest Batman movie ever made, Batman Mask of the Phantasm, in my opinion, is the greatest.
So good.
Batman gets accused of doing what the Phantasm did, and what did Jim Gordon say? He said, the Batman does not kill, period.
Mm-hmm.
And
that movie is so powerful.
That's my Batman.
I still feel though every time I watch them, I still feel it. Man, we gotta do a conversation on that movie someday.
Absolutely. To Nicole's point, remember, that was a war situation. In Wonder Woman 84, she goes out of her way not to kill people, which I thought was good. Fighting the guy, because she doesn't. She's evolved to a point where it's not like a war. She knows it's not those men's fault what's going on.
Yeah.
And she's, even the rapist, when she kicks him down the sidewalk, she's not, she doesn't want to kill, and look, I love heroes in films. John McClane, Lethal Weapon, all the other standard types of heroes can kill all day long. It's fine. Westerns, whatever. Superheroes, I think, should be held to a different standard, but that's just me.
Yeah. I'm with you. And that's not just just for us to be on the same panel and agree with each other. I feel like that's because most of them are superhuman. They are capable of more abilities that an ordinary individual is not capable of. So they have more options on how they can handle the job compared to your John McClane. Your Superman definitely has far more. When Superman says there's always another way for him, it's because it's true. For your John McClane, there's not always another way.
No, I mean, those are different heroes. Paladin, John McClane, John Wayne, the Western heroes, they're still heroes. It's just superheroes are a different breed. And, but then again, look, there were times, even in the 80s or 90s, that, there were people who pick out instances where a superhero killed somebody, and they'll find a few, let's see here. I gave this movie a few bounty points for showing her actual hero, and it doesn't. And, yes. Well, there's the key again. They showed she's heroic in the film, and that's important. Mm-hmm. I really do love her in the movie. Things like again, there are things to like about it. We're not just trying to dump on the film. More people who like it. We're just giving our honest opinion on it, and I just think the writing was terrible, and the action was subpar for me, and it wasn't that exciting. I just think that it could have been better, but she, you can't take away from Gal. Gal Gadot is terrific.
Yeah, I agree. And, I wonder if I wonder if history will repeat and if she'll have the Christopher Reeve route where her movies, where she appears as Wonder Woman, they might continually not be as good as that first film, but we'll still be invested in how good she is in these movies. I wonder if history is going to repeat like that. I wonder.
I don't know. But Nicole sent me a picture. There was a little Easter egg of a picture somewhere. Oh, there was a photo. Was it in Diana's place with her and Etta Candy from the first film? Yeah, because Etta was always a friend of Wonder Woman in comics.
Oh, was it the lady who she held her stuff with her? If I remember.
No, I think it was a photo. I'm looking at it. She sent me a picture where she's she met. Oh, and it's of her and Etta later in life, apparently, or something like that. Yeah, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, that is cool. I didn't notice that. Man, she was on the hunt.
Well, here's the thing about that, Vigilante. As we all know, just to wrap up, they're supposed to. They've announced a Wonder Woman 3, folks. With Patty Jenkins is pretty busy. Yeah, I think everyone agrees. We all love Gal. Patty Jenkins is pretty busy. She's got Cleopatra she's working on. She's going to be working on that Rogue Squadron movie. Ugh. Oh boy, I'm not too happy about that. But just because I think it's set in sequel time, so garbage, probably. But yeah, so when they're gonna, assuming this movie does not perform, and it looks like it's not going to perform well, I don't know. Oh, okay, let's see here. During the White House scene, she tells Steve it's not it's not their fault. She chose non-lethal force and does it. Yeah, that's exactly right, and that's what I want to see in a superhero film. I don't mind a bloodbath in any other movie, but Nick.
Yes, sir.
Do you think Patty knows what this film would knows if this film would have bombed at the box office and will modify her approach in WW3? What do you think, there, man?
Absolutely not. And I hate saying that. I really do. I think when she made the first movie, she was. Once again, I don't know her, so this is gonna be all my educated guesses. I'm gonna be going off of. I feel like when she was making the first film, she really wanted to earn the crowd, but like a lot of modern properties that are being adapted, they want to earn the crowd, but once they earn that crowd, then they want to start putting in their self-inserts. And I don't think she's going to want to learn from her mistakes. I think she's just going to blame it on the beer bug. If she actually does say that out loud in interviews that we made some mistakes along the way, I would love to hear that. That would assure me. But all I hear is, especially in Hollywood's today's world where they have made it a thing to accept no accountability, I don't see her and the crew taking accountability. I just see it as, the movie is, it's didn't do well because of COVID. They're not going to look at the sloppy writing. They're not going to look at the inconsistencies. They're not going to look at that. They're not going to look at the intimate scene with the body inheritance. They're going to just blame everything on that, and that's the worst thing. I can't say the worst thing, sorry, but one of the dumbest things about the beer bug. It's going to give all these movie companies, they're going to use it as their excuse for everything if it fails. Anything that fails now, they're going to use that as their alibi.
That's true.
So that is absolutely true. To answer your question, Canadian Spidey, I hope I'm wrong. So fingers crossed, but I'm not betting on it.
Well, you never know. You could be right, or they could look back and say, first of all, let's make a bit of a tighter, shorter film. We were talking earlier that I didn't really elaborate much on the big sins of some of the biggest sins of superhero movies. Too much spotlight on a villain that no one cares about, and not enough of the superhero themselves. Mm-hmm. How many films look at Green Lantern was a prime example. I mean, you don't get a lot. Bad enough how stupid the costume looks. I didn't really mind what Reynolds that much as a casting, but you don't get a lot of Green Lantern, and you get almost none. Real. I mean, you get what? I mean, I didn't time it, but that's there are a lot of them like that, especially back then. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know. You don't get enough of the superhero, which is what you pay for, which is what you walk in for.
Canadian Spider-Man. I can answer that question too. If they mess up again, it'll be man's fault because we're men. Because it's the same thing the Birds of Prey movie did a few months ago. They said this movie is not for you, and a lot of those men said, "Okay, that's cool. Well, then I won't go see that flick." And then when those men don't go see that flick, then they blame them for why movies fail. So it's going to be a lot of contradictions. That's what Hollywood does. They contradict their statements, and they will. It's a rare thing nowadays to accept accountability and honesty towards owning your own mistakes. Hollywood has made it like this social norm. And a lot of it happens in the real world. Now, Hollywood loves doing it. It's like a specialty. It's like a sport to them. So they're not going to accept if Wonder Woman 3 repeats the patterns. It'll be because it's us men's fault. They won't look at the women who will criticize it. Because I know a lot of women who criticize Captain Marvel and this second movie. But they're not going to. They're going to gloss it over. They're going to pretend that those voices don't exist, even though they say to pay attention to women's voices. That's a loaded question, Canadian Spider-Man. If you ever want to contact me, I could go all day on Hollywood and how backwards they are with their lack of logic. So I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I really want to be wrong, but I don't see it happening in Hollywood anytime soon.
Well, and absolutely, dude. And again, like you said, with Birds of Prey, that thing bombed because it was just. I mean, it was terrible, but you got called an you got called a sexist if you didn't like it, and it just doesn't hold water because a lot of men loved the first Wonder Woman film and yet couldn't stand Captain Marvel. It had nothing to do with the female lead. Mm-hmm. Everyone would love to see a great Wonder Woman film, men included. When Max wishes to be the stone, it disintegrates, and as he embodies the stone later, when he renounces his wish, does the stone reconstitute? Is there a potential plot for a sequel there?
Please don't.
Don't do that. Please don't tell them that.
Yeah, don't get them ideas, Nicole. Don't.
Oh no. Don't. You're gonna give them a wish, and they're gonna go. They're gonna, oh my!
You did there.
They're gonna wish for that for the next film, probably. Yeah.
Canadian. You guys are killing me with these comments. This chat's alive tonight. I like this. Monday night. This
got a great chat, man. It's amazing. Well, the Joker's a secondary villain to Clock King. That's Cheetah's fate here. Yeah. It's a shame the way they did Cheetah. It really is. I mean, I have nothing against Kristen Wiig. That story was so cliched of hers, though, because the wish thing really ruined everything in this movie for me. Oh, yeah. And that ruined her. You could have been, had a better origin. And look, you can't convince me with that kind of budget they couldn't have made Cheetah look better. Mm-hmm. But it was not to be, man.
Mark of the sea.
Oh yeah, I keep missing that. Sometimes I go to click on one and the chat jumps on me there. That's why Disney's bringing Luke back instead of pushing new Star Wars. Let's hope that continues, buddy. Let's really hope that continues.
Because we all know when Force Awakens came out, they wanted those new characters they're showing off to be the face of Star Wars. And I would have accepted them if they were likable. But none of them were. And that's not a diss towards Daisy Ridley as an actress or what's his face as Finn. I don't know what they're really like outside of those movies. I just know in that movie, not one time did I see Poe Dameron say, "Wow, this really is the baddest pal in the galaxy." All it just says, "Oh, hey, there's Poe."
Yeah, I just want to forget that sequel filth. Whatever, let us forget it all. Now, hey, that would have been. Here's what really would have happened if a guy like Maxwell Lord sent out that wish thing. If the film had taken place in 2020. the first wish that would happen was I wish that the Disney, I wish George Lucas had never sold Star Wars to Disney. Would be the first wish. So we just wipe out all of that Disney crap. Boom. In fact, maybe 9 billion people probably would have wished for the same thing. Well, not 9 billion, but most of them.
There's a good million at the least.
The sequel tragedy.
Good meal, yeah.
It will be all. I think a billion people, a million voices would cry out in terror and were suddenly silenced. So yeah, that'd be the biggest wish I'm going for.
Good luck getting them to renounce that wish.
Yeah, buddy. That's it, man. Well, I'll tell you what, everyone. I thank you all for being here with us tonight. We just kind of covered it in a skeletal way. We just wanted to go and just kind of make a freewheeling conversation about it. There are plenty of videos that break all the details down for the films, if that's your taste. Really good ones. I recommend Critical Drinker, Gary with Nerdrotic. Did Az do one? I can't remember.
Yes, he did. Yes,
and our buddy Nick here has done one as well. So, and please, by the way, Nick's channel. I think there's a link in the chat below. I mean, a link in my description below. I think I have that link there for you. Please go.
You do.
As well as my buddy Vigilante Williamson. Please go to his page. I have a link there for him, and subscribe to him because he has a cool channel as well. And a lot of my very good friends have great channels, and there are links in the description below. And my buddy Vigilante will be posting a breakdown video on the film tomorrow. So I have just had a great time hanging with my buddy Nick talking about this film because misery loves company, you know.
Absolutely. Hey, the feelings are mutual, my friend. Thank you for letting me come on here again. This is fun to do it. I think we'll be talking. I love talking this stuff with you. It's just like we've only had 2 full chats, but we talk like we've already known each other for years. It's perfect.
Absolutely, man. We're gonna have to come back on, dude. Anytime. We'll just talk comics in general or whatever. Tomorrow night, everyone, at 7, as I am on every Tuesday night, Loki's 7 Kinds of Mischief, the Great Stone Loki's channel, my good buddy, and I'll be on there with the usual gang of suspects. The great Fat Steven Seagal. Of course, Loki himself, 24/7 Fusion Media. Hopefully, many and others on the panel will be on there. Mexican Iron Man and maybe even Eris will pop in. I don't know. We will be talking about this movie again tomorrow night, and so there'll be a whole bunch of us though. So you won't have to just listen to me, you know. But, and then there'll be a lot of different takes. I don't know if I know they'll have all seen the film by then. Don't know whether they like it or not. But anyway, I'm going to say some goodbyes right now. I want to thank the wonderful and beautiful Nicole Stofflet, my great friend. I owe her so much that I was able to see this film. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. And I want to thank, of course, the great Mark C. for being here tonight. The great Eric K. My good buddy Vigilante Williamson. My old friend Steve Mitchum. D.D. Myers, thank you for coming by. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you stopping in here. Really do. I want to thank, let's see here. I want a Canadian Spider-Man who does do whatever a Canadian Spider can. Mark with a C. I'm trying not to forget anybody. Just Joe 47. Thank you, my brother. I always appreciate you being here. What's his face? Mick Whatnot was here. Thank you, sir. Rod Thunderheart. Thank you for being here tonight, my friend. I really appreciate it. I wonder if I'm forgetting anybody, man. How am I doing, Nick? You think I got most people? Because I do forget a lot.
You got everyone. I think you're selling yourself short on your memory. I mean, we all have our moments where we don't remember, but you really went the full 9 to try and cover everyone who showed up. I think you got everyone. Oh,
well, I appreciate that, my friend. And of course, again, a special thanks to my buddy here, 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser. Please check his channel out. And he is a great new pal, and I made so many great new pals here on YouTube. I know you've been. How long have you been doing the YouTube, by the way, bud?
About half a year now. And it really has changed my life. I'm opened up to this whole world of wonderful individuals like your Clobberin Times, your Eric K's, your Vigilantes. Like, it's awesome. Jake D. Like, I love it, and I can't imagine now my life without it. I really can't.
I've only been here since April, dude. I did this for 11 years before that, and I wish I'd been here the whole time. Made so many great friends, man, and Paulie with Latino Slant again, Loki, and And like you said, a bunch of those guys, Jake D's cool, of course, you know. And hey, look, Doomcock, the great Doomcock has been fantastic to me, as has Gary with Nerdrotic. Those are the big heavy hitter guys. They've been fantastic. Yeah, hey, look, Canadian Spider-Man, dude. He says, when's the barbecue get together? Oh. Dude, whenever you get down here, man, we're doing it. We're doing it. So thanks, everyone, again, for being here tonight. And I'm going to play us out with the great Stone Loki's intro, outro he made for me. Thank you again, great Stone Loki. Again, tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, Loki's 7 Kinds of Mischief. And by the way, screw you, Pablo Hidalgo, you piece of crap. Screw you. Later, gang.